All right, welcome back to Off the Tap. This week is episode 86, and we're doing Native Light from Independence Brewing Company.
This is also, we mentioned it right before you press play, or I guess record rather. But this is my 55th episode. Remember how, like, I don't know, it seemed like 20 episodes ago we were like, hey, this is a multiple of 5, so it's an important one. Yeah. So this is 55 for me.
55.
55.
Well, that's a little bit more than 50, I guess. I was going to say but it's a centennial when it's 100. What's it when it's 50 years?
I don't know, but I know who's gonna know. You know who's gonna know?
Google.
Yeah, not Bing. Hold on, let me go to
No,
Google.
you got to get this fixed, man. So yeah, this is a light lager. That's pretty clear through the name. Coming in at 4.0 ABV with no IBUs listed. But I mean, it's a light beer, so
I'm pretty sure they probably don't include IBUs for that reason. Do you think light beers even care? Like, I know I looked it up, I think it was last week or something like that. I looked it up for like some of the foundational beers, like generic Mick Ultra and stuff like that. And it was on there, but I don't think I've ever seen that rating on like their packaging at all.
no, I certainly haven't.
All right, so I'm gonna crack.
Definitely not on cans. That's for sure.
One thing I'm gonna tell you, and it's like I'm not gonna say it's a drawback because most people probably don't give a shit, but like with it being a white can, like I thought my hands were relatively clean. Maybe I touched something and then I touched the can and there's like, you know how like it's summertime, you've been running around with your shoes off and then you go to get in the shower or something and there's just enough moisture on the floor and you stick your foot in it and it creates that nasty like mud swirl.
Yeah.
It was basically that on the side of the can. So like this is gonna air all your dirty laundry if your hands are dirty. Like and you're amongst the crowd.
You can't be drinking these after a day of working outside,
Oh, damn it, dude. Oh, fuck.
Yeah, okay, so mine did the same thing. Maybe this is a thing. Okay, so what just happened if you're not watching is that he just cracked the can and it foamed immediately.
Oh, shit.
Which isn't a horrible thing, but it's not really what you want,
No, I mean, it's super airy head. Like, I mean, I'm talking, I poured this like I pour everything else.
Yeah, that's 80% foam.
Super, super carbonated.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, I'm not really into it yet. I don't think I've given it like a gentleman's try, if you will, at this point. We knew that it was supposed to be light, and obviously it's 4%. And I haven't tasted it yet, okay? But it's given me next vibes.
Oh, like Bud Light next?
Yeah.
Ooh, really? You think it's gonna be that bad?
I mean, dude, that's what I'm getting. Like, there's just nothing to it. We're gonna get in a little more into the can, and like we're gonna get into Independent in a second. But I wanna let this dissipate, and I wanna give it like it has the same coloring.
It does.
I mean, it's basically this is like middle of the road urine sample. Like you're not super dehydrated, but you also haven't been drinking beer all night.
Yeah.
It's like, have you ever left ice in an ice chest for like, I don't know, like let's say 2 weeks, and not midsummer, but like let's say late May. Okay.
But you continue using it.
Yeah. So you've had a lot of hands in and out, a lot of cans in and out. That's the color of this.
Yeah, that's the color, minus all of the grit and dirt that goes in.
Yeah.
Obviously.
And but yeah, so super, super light. The head did finally dissipate. I'm gonna give it a shot just right now so that I can either settle or confirm the next situation.
Mm-hmm. I'll be honest, the only thing I remember from the next was that it was just miserably horrible.
Well, no, the issue with the next was it was like somebody took 1 can of Bud Light and mixed it in a 5-gallon bucket of water. And then recanned that.
Yeah, they just diluted the hell out of Bud Light. That's what it was.
So,
well, I'll tell you what. So the one thing that turns me on to this beer is the can.
Okay,
I love the can.
I agree. Let's get into it in a minute, but yes, let's get into that. We can right now if you want to, but so I was looking. This is the first independent brewing company, so they're based out of Austin, Texas. The first independent brewing that
Independence.
Independence Brewing
Yeah.
that we have done. They have a number of beers. Also, they've been around since 2004, so they've been on the map for a while. 20-year
Yeah.
anniversary. I'm assuming they're celebrating this year. So they've got an IPA, they've got an amber. Branding is very similar to a lot of Austin-based beers, I think. But what's cool is that I'm assuming their flagship is the Native Texan, and this is obviously the Native Light. Um, but their branding's pretty cool.
Okay, so there
And they
is
also
a native Texan.
there
Maybe
is a
this it's
Native Texan,
that's why I kept calling
Texan
this a
Light.
Texan light. Yeah.
Right,
It's
which
a
is
native light.
oxymoronic because there's no such thing as a Texan light.
No
Like you're
such
either
thing.
all or nothing, right?
Yeah.
You're either a transplant. I mean, what's the age-old adage that everybody we're taught growing up? Like, there's only two types of people. There's like people that are from Texas and people that get here as quick as they can,
Yeah.
right? That's the
Yeah.
thing. So yeah, so there's no such thing in my opinion as a Texan light. So it's even funny, like earlier when you texted me, I think I already told you this, but earlier when you texted me and you were like, hey, we're doing Texan light today, I was like, that sounds weird to fucking read out loud
Yeah.
because it just doesn't make sense to me. I was like, what? And then when you told me, and then when I found the can in the fridge and it was Native Light, I was like, oh, thank God.
That makes a
And they
lot more
would
sense.
Yeah, no way they would call it a
Yeah.
Texan Light, but they do have a native Texan, pretty cool
Okay.
branding. It's a Texan flag. The can is, which is pretty sweet.
Okay.
Um, but they've got a bunch. They've got a brown, they've got a red, they've got a couple of different IPAs. They've got an oatmeal, they've got an amber. The native Texan, by the way, is a pilsner. So and then they have some that are barrel aged too that they do periodically that come in that they bottle. So that's
Okay.
pretty cool. Um,
Yeah,
I don't see any.
the native Texan can is pretty sweet.
Yeah, I don't see. Well, I guess I'll have to look at pictures of the tap room maybe, but I do like. Honestly, this one stands out as completely different compared to all of the other cans. You know what I mean? Just the way
Yeah,
they're.
this one's like a lot more generic
Yep.
looking. I would say, well, the native Texan kind of does too, but um, all the rest are very different. They're black cans. The end. This is white.
Yes. So
You
this is
know.
the outlier. Um,
Yeah.
but pretty sweet. It is very attractive. And I don't know if it's because it's super the can is. We're going to talk about the beer a little bit later, but um the can is super super attractive because it's almost like they were going for the can that said beer. You know what I mean?
Miller
Like
Lite. Yeah.
yeah, but just beer, you know?
Just that it could essentially just say BEER on the
Yes.
front. That's it.
E- exactly. And yeah, super super light. I don't IBUs aren't included. I doubt that you would find them because I'm not sure there are any.
I don't think there is probably. Yeah. Okay. So let's real quick. Obviously, we do the ratings and stuff at the end, but real quick, you know what this makes it? What I think of taste wise when I put this into my mouth. Okay.
Okay.
It's like somebody took a Bud Light and put it in a Soda Stream. That's what it tastes
Possibly.
like. You know what I'm talking about? You know
Possibly.
the Soda Stream things?
Yes, I do. What I get, have you ever frozen? This is gonna be a little bit of a rabbit hole, but have you ever frozen a beer, right?
Hmm.
Okay. And you just can't wait. So you know it's fucking slushy in there, and
Oh
you
yeah.
know that you're right, or that it's got some chunks in there, and so you crack it open and you drink, right? You
Yeah.
drink what's there. And that's all the flavor concentrated, right? It's all the alcohol because that doesn't
Hmm.
freeze. And then it's all of like the sugars because obviously the way we don't need to go chemically how this works, but water freezes first, right? And then as that freezes, the other ingredients get more and more concentrated as they don't freeze. So, anyways, because you can't wait, think about eating a popsicle. You remember the popsicles that came in the freaking plastic sleeves and you got like 50 of them
Oh
for a
yeah.
dollar? You
Oh
know what I'm talking
yeah.
about? All right, it's like liquid in there. And what you would do is you would crack it and you would just suck the ice, right? And you would suck all the good juice out of the ice, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then at the end, you still had to eat what was left, okay? Right? And it
Yeah.
was like you because it was a necessary evil, but all the good syrupy juice was gone out of it.
Yeah.
Okay? That's what I feel like happened here. It's like they froze it. Somebody drank all the good stuff off the top, and whatever they left in the can to just like, to thaw
Thaw
out
out.
is what we were left with. You know
And
what
they
I'm
ran
saying?
it through a soda stream.
And then and then they ran it through a soda string and
Yeah.
then poured it over ice and put
Mm-hmm.
it at room temp, and so the ice melted a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty valid, actually. I can actually get this same flavor from that, like a half freaking dried icy thing. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Not like when the flavor's completely gone, but when it's running out. That's where you're
Yes.
that's where you're at.
Yeah, or it's like you ever been to an ice? We were just talking about this, I think. But like if you ever go to an icy machine that they haven't refilled, and so it's
Hmm.
just kind of been whipping what flavors left in there, and it's
Yeah.
real light, and as soon as you put it in your cup, it starts to dissolve, but all the syrup's not in it. That's what
Yeah.
this is.
Yeah. That's pretty
It's like
valid.
it's like they took a native Texan, rest their soul. They took a native Texan and they put it in an icy machine and whipped it and then dumped it in a cup and let it melt.
Mm. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
it
hate to
is.
set that stage for you this early on, and obviously we still got ratings and we still got a WWIBD, but that's the initial impressions I get. And honestly, I kind of wish. I don't know. What do you think's better? Do you think it's better to taste this first? I've talked a lot of crap about, is it Galveston Island or is it Galveston Brewing?
I don't know, one of them. I know you don't like one of them.
Yeah, there's one of them that I'm just not a fan of because I just haven't had a good. And this is personal preference, obviously. And who am I
Well,
to
you
judge?
well
But
you hadn't had one until we had their Oktoberfest. I forget which one it was though.
okay, yeah. So they're batting maybe like a buck 50. You know what I mean? Maybe 200.
Yeah.
Okay. And I mean, honestly, I mean that's not bad to fill out your card once you retire. But I mean, shit, dude. If you're playing right now, 300 plus is what you need to be swinging at. You know what I'm saying? But anyway,
Right. Yeah.
all I'm saying is do you think it's better? Because like I'm not that I talk trash, but I just normally don't care for a lot of their beers aside from the Oktoberfest, which is their redeeming quality at this point. So in this case, do you feel it's best to try this one before we try any other independence? Or do you
Well,
think it would have been better to try another independence that's probably fucking slamming
mm,
and then have this one?
see, here's what I feel about. I think this is probably a good one to start with because I feel like this is probably their least flavorful beer, right?
Yeah.
Because it's just a light lager. That's all it
And
is. It's nothing special. It's nothing super crafty or anything. It's just a light beer. That's what it is.
it's you know what it okay, and also too, they don't, I mean, obviously it's like second row on their page, but like I don't think this is the one that they're shouting from the
The
mountaintops.
rooftops. Yeah.
Yeah, like they're probably obviously pushing the amber looks phenomenal. They've got a pale ale that's a hazy. Like I'm imagining this is something that they just offered because people were like, "Hey, it'd be nice to have a native Texan that's light, but we can't call it a Texan light because that's not a fucking thing.
Yeah.
We're gonna call it the native light." Also, have you seen the memes about me? It's like the dude and he's just doing a little dance. Obviously, y'all can't see this unless you're watching the video, but he's just doing one of these little dances, and it's like me listening to the craft brewer read off their entire menu so that I can find one that sounds like it's a Coors Light.
Yeah.
Have you seen that? Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's what happened here. They were like, listen, we got a massive clientele that has always has that one friend that bitches about not being able to order a Coors Light when they go up
Yeah.
there to the old fucking brewery.
You got
And so they
anything
were
that tastes like my cold mountains?
like, this can ain't turned blue. Must not be ready.
Hey, you got anything that tastes like them silver bullets? You know what I mean? You got any Miller Lights in here? No, man, we got that native light though.
That's what I think it is. I think they wanted an option for that one buddy that real crafters bring along that always bitches. And they probably hit this on the head with that. Obviously, for those of us with a little more well established of a palate, it might not be our cup of tea or a cup of beer, I guess, in this case, to skip the pun.
Yeah.
But That's my initial impressions, but obviously we'll get into ratings and we'll get into how we feel about things later. But what attracts you to the can? Because what attracts you to the can?
It's the simplicity, and I think those colors just ring to. We know we've talked about it before. I love craft beer. That's why I do this podcast. That's why I wanted to start it in the first place. I like to try new things. I like the flavors that people do and everything, but there's nothing more go to me than a good Miller Lite. You know what I mean? When I'm when I'm gonna drink a lot of beers, I'm probably gonna drink Miller Lite. That's what I'm gonna do. Um, when it's a nice hot summer day, the beer I want is a Miller Lite. You know what I mean? And there's
Yeah.
nothing more noticeable about a Miller Lite than its generic looking can, and I
But
love it.
you say that, but like, for those of us maybe with a little more age on us, there was a time
Oh yeah, or
where
the
Miller got
blue and
off the
gold.
rails. Yeah,
Yeah, they
the
went a
blue and
little
gold and
crazy,
red.
but now they're back to the OG white. You know,
Yeah.
and I really like the clean look of it, and I think this really hits that. I like that blue, I like that gold, and I like that white. You know what I mean? It almost gives me a little bit of like the '90s Astros vibe, minus the blue. You know?
Yeah. I do get that as well. Also, I just love the fact that it's generic writing on a white can. It does pop on the shelf too, because like
It
nowadays, you and
does.
I know, right? Because we shop a lot for craft brews, and nothing against craft breweries, because I think you kind of have to do this to be to be a player in the game. But
Yeah.
also, I think too many people are doing it. The cans are crazy these days. I mean, some of the art on them is awesome. Some of the we talk a lot about like Eureka Heights does it with like the standardized Eureka Heights on every can, and Stesty does it, and all of them, right? So like they have their calling cards, but the cans are getting outrageously creative, and the art that's on them, and just it's ridiculous. And I think this is like a callback to, you know what? Amongst all of that shit happening on a shelf, this is the first one we gravitated to because we were like, oh, I'm not being bombarded by a 6 year old's digital 8-bit art, or I'm
Yeah.
not being bombarded by like mummies being slain by a bunch of woodland creatures because it's a fucking
Mm-hmm.
foresty IPA or whatever. Like we
Yeah.
just saw this can. I was like, oh shit, that makes sense. We should put that in the cart. And then afterwards, we were like, what is it actually?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a light lager. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It stands out because it's the only normal looking thing in a sea of craziness. You know?
It is. Also, I'm gonna have to say probably a little bit just being Texans. Immediately I was like, oh, it's got Texas on it. We
Oh yeah.
should probably put
100%.
that.
100%.
I
100%.
mean, it's
You got
basically
that
made for us. It's
you got
made for us.
you got that star right on there that screams that screams Texas. You know what I mean?
And
Absolutely.
on that note, to me, again, like we chatted a little bit about this, but to like this would have been, and I don't know who I would. You know what would be cool? You know how you get the backstories on the brewery? Like when you go to online, like some of them
Yeah.
have like a little about us section, or there'll be like a little video, and it's like, hey, I'm the brewmaster here, and here's what I believe in, here's what I did before, and all that stuff. I think it would be, and I know we nerd out to this shit, and probably half the audience or no one else, but maybe us does this. But I want to know who creates the can art and what their
Mm.
mindset was. Like, obviously, for most of the other stuff we just said that this is competing against, that it obviously won. It's just crazy stuff. They're just like, yeah, screw it. We found this picture and we liked it. You know what I mean? And so we built the whole
Yeah.
brand about it. But like for this one specifically, it would have been nice to know whoever came up with this one, if like they would put their name down here so we could be like, hey, Susan, why is it that you came up with this? That would be a cool market,
That would be
branding
kind of
thing
cool.
too, marketing thing, right? So people could
Yeah.
reach out and be like, hey, why is this the can? But anyways, I have to think, and I'm just going to use Susan as an example here because I fictitiously created her a second ago.
And gave her credit for this can.
Yes, it'd be crazy if I was like dead nuts with that and it was Susan. But anyway,
Yeah.
so this like this not only screams we're going to stand out and we're simple and it's just light, but it's also because the hand that should be wrapped around this can is that of Hank Hill
Yeah.
and Dan, and all of them, right? Like that's just
This can
Bill.
belongs outside of a fence.
Exactly. And so I think like they gave me those vibes too. Like immediately when I saw it, I was like, oh, yeah, that's definitely being drank in Arlen, Texas, the
Yeah,
fictitious Arlen, Texas.
that would how cool would it be if like so okay, first off, I saw a post on social media that they're contemplating like
A live action.
Bringing back King of the Hill.
Oh, okay.
But the problem with it is that they're going to modernize it, right? Which is not, it could work, but it's just not going to be King of the Hill if they try to do too much stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but it would be kind of cool if you saw like, obviously they're just some redneck cartoon characters, right? They're drinking there every day, but how cool would it be if like just every now and then they had a random craft beer,
Yeah.
like a local to them.
Texas based, yes.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. And you see this can thrown in there randomly.
And it also kind of follows the theme of your creepy Star Wars thing. Like it would allow them to have a commercial within the series at the same
Yeah.
time. And they could even do the very awkward like Wayne's World where like they're just in front of the fences one day and they're like, yes, this native light is delicious.
This was a good choice, Hank.
And
Yeah.
then they're just like, shut up, Boomhauer. You bring the beer next time if you've got a complaint. And he's like, I'm going to complain anytime I'm a native light.
Damn it, Bobby! You bought the wrong beer.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
exactly. I think that, dude, we're missing a lot of opportunities to do that. And people would find it funny. And they would also probably go out and buy a native light if that's what Hank Hill
Damn it,
chose.
Bobby! Why did you buy the native light from Independence Brewing Company?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You know that I like the Pilsner, the native Texan. It's got a prettier can, and I just like it.
It fits well with my propane.
Oh, dude, I can only imagine. I would say it would be very nifty to modernize that part of the series, only because of this. Obviously, the series does make a lot of plays on propane. And did you ever see the part where like Peggy and Bobby accidentally eat the hamburgers from charcoal, and it's so much more delicious? Okay,
Yeah, it did.
so I feel now instead of that being the line that they toe, it would be Beyond Meat versus meat. Like Hank
Oh God.
accidentally enjoys a Beyond Meat burger, and he's like, "What? Gay? No."
Yeah. You know what? They could do an entire episode on Hank saying, propane's still better because of the Blackstones, right?
Oh yeah.
Because the Blackstones have become a big thing lately.
Oh, dude,
And
they're
and
it's
you
they're,
can't
and
and you can't charcoal a Blackstone, baby.
no, you can't. You can't charcoal a Blackstone. You can't charcoal a
You
Blackstone.
can't do that.
You can't triple stamp a double stamp.
Yeah, you can't do it.
Oh shit! I almost overflowed her here.
That could be an entire episode. I could see it.
Dude, what are some other? This is a pretty nice rabbit hole. What are some other things that drastically would change from Hank's world to now?
Electric vehicles.
Oh God,
Oh
yeah,
man, could you imagine that episode? That would go crazy.
dude. Electric vehicles, just electric things in general. Like, dude, he looks
Smart
across the
homes.
street. He looks across the street and there's a guy that's mowing his lawn with an electric motor, and he's like, 80 volts. What would you need 80 volts for?
It's just one of those like robot
Oh yeah,
lawnmowers.
you're gonna hurt the kids.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
things like that. Oh, dude.
Peggy comes home with a Roomba one day. Can you imagine?
Oh my God. Or just like Uber deliveries or not.
Oh
Yeah, like Uber
gosh.
Eats or Grubhub or something. She's been sneaking over at night and I can see him. He's in a different vehicle and I can't make him out.
Yeah.
There
That's
would just
good,
be
man.
Dude, I honestly, I don't know if anybody, I mean, listen, we give away, we always say this. This should be our catchphrase. Off the tap, we give away all our good ideas.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of things I think that they could, and what I mean by that is they could keep them fundamentally the same.
Yeah. But just in a modern world.
Yes, but play on like the other things
Was there ever a King of the Hill Costco episode?
not that I'm aware of.
Could you imagine?
Oh, dude, it becomes his, and they all start making fun of him because now he worships at the Church of Costco. Like, just that becomes.
Yeah.
We stand for what we believe in, and what we believe in is memberships. Just crazy things.
I can get my beer for $5 cheaper here. Yeah.
My native light comes in 60 packs.
Oh yes, that's it.
I think there's a lot. I think there's a lot of potential there,
and
they've waited just long enough to revive it. There's enough.
Enough things have happened.
controversial things that we've just come to accept that Hank, I feel, fundamentally would not accept.
Whenever one of the neighbors drives home in a freaking Cybertruck. Oh God.
But here's the other thing too. Like, I don't want. I know that this is not even a reality that's going to happen probably. But like, I don't want Bobby to be grown up. I don't want Bobby to have kids.
No. Yeah, no,
Like,
me
you know what I
either.
mean? I don't want no time to have passed. Like, I literally, I don't remember what the last episode was, but I literally just want them to wake up as if nothing ever happened. But it's
Mm,
2024.
yeah. Nothing is like they went through a time machine. You know what I
Yes.
mean? They just went into the future like 20 years or whatever. That would be incredible. If they do that, I'm down.
Yeah, but they don't even need to put a lot of work into that. It could literally just be a black screen with white writing on it. Trapped in a time machine for 20 years. Here we are. And then they show up so that we don't have to like understand the backstory and like follow all that shit. I just want
Hmm.
it to be them the way they were, but with all of the controversial things of 2024.
Mm. The neighbors start getting solar panels, and he's like, "What?
What? You're going to burn it down. Just things like that.
I use propane to power my house."
I sure did like those neighbors till they became the Sun Lords.
Oh man.
And then yeah, and then they all build a plan to go and tarp their house so that the sun can't get through to the panels.
Yeah.
Oh man, I could see this is endless possibilities. We don't have the time to continue down this rabbit hole, but I think we could come up with like if we were in a writer's room right now, season 1 would be done.
Oh yeah, no, we'd be done already. They would take all these ideas and split it into 10 or 12 episodes, add a couple more, and we're done.
And then with real quality sponsors like Independence Brewing
Native
and their
Light.
Native Light, then we could
Yeah.
have all kinds of funding for this.
Oh yeah. Craft brews would get on it, I think.
Dude, it was so unappropriately
Mm.
wholesome. That's what it was, dude. That's the only way I can describe it.
Inappropriately?
Yeah, like inappropriately wholesome. You know? His intent, you could always empathize with his intent, even though it was convoluted as fuck. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
He was always
it's
trying to
just
be, he always meant well,
yeah, he
but
was meant
maybe
well.
maybe just not in the correct ways.
Exactly.
That's what made it so
Exactly.
funny. That's what made it always
He
so
was
funny.
he was constantly using the wrong formula and getting the right answer somehow.
Man, I
You
might
know?
have to go back and watch it again. It's been so long since I've watched it.
It's one I don't know. I mean, I watched it a real time, a lot of it, but not all of it. Like I would say
Mhm.
I started watching real time after there was like 4 or 5 seasons out.
Yeah.
Um, but I wasn't religious to it. Like I would miss some episodes,
Mhm.
obviously, things like that. But going back and watch, we did run through like uh, um a lot. There was two things that we watched a lot of whenever Finley was like brand new newborn baby, and it was King of the Hill. We were rewatching it,
I remember that.
and that '70s show.
Both classics.
Yes,
See,
it
and
has.
they tried to do the whole that '90s show, and let's just listen. It's just not the same.
No,
There's
no,
something. That's why there's some things you don't change the core of, right? The core of
yeah.
the show, the main things about the show have to stay the same. You just have to make the things around them different.
But the only thing, honestly, that I watched like maybe the first couple episodes of that, or maybe the first season. I don't know how much that '90s show ran, but the only thing that was good was to see Red back.
Yeah.
That was it. You know, I still
Mm-hmm.
want to get one of those shirts that say, you know, Red Foreman for president, a beer in every hand and a foot in every ass.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just,
It's
oh,
so
man.
good.
I
Mm.
want to say at some point, I don't know if those were on the same. Google probably should tell us, but like, dude, that would have been they had the thank TGIA Friday back, when it was like Full House, Family Matters, Step by Step. That was like,
Mm.
early '90s. But I would say if you had King of the Hill and that '70s show, and there was one other one that was like really big during that period of time, like that would have been a slamming like prime time Friday spot. I don't remember exactly when it all aired, but like I just yeah.
It wasn't Seinfeld, was it?
No, I think Seinfeld would have been over by then. But
Really, you
yeah,
think so?
yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
Seinfeld would have.
it was. Yeah, it was before that, I'd imagine,
Yeah,
or at least toward its end. Um, yeah, that would have been a slamming Friday night special to watch. Go 6 o'clock to 6:30, the King of the Hill and that '70s show back to back somehow.
yes.
That would have been killer. Getting home from work, cracking open a nice Independence Brewing Company native light.
Native light.
You know. Mm-hmm.
I probably, based on obviously things that we've been alluding to, I would probably have sided with the native Texan. But yeah, I mean, we'll get there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so that's how I feel. I feel like Hank Hill would be drinking this in a modern world or even in a past life. The can gives me that vibe.
It does. It's that generic beer can. I love it. I love the look of it, at least.
Speaking of beer cans, I swear to God, I'm gonna get this right one day. One day I'm gonna stumble upon like a really good segue.
Yeah.
But speaking of good
One
beer
day.
cans, we went to a place that sells beer cans this weekend.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm just trying to connect the dots here. I can't remember how many episodes back was it that we talked about this. It's been a while now,
Um,
right?
you know what? If I looked hard enough, I bet I could figure it out. It was whenever we were discussing hot wings. That's all I can remember here.
Maybe it was football when we were talking about the Super Bowl. Maybe.
Oh, yep. It was Super Bowl.
Okay, but this has come up multiple. I mean, yeah. I mean, I know you're probably not going to be able to find it, but I think it was the Super Bowl episode that we referred specifically to this place and needing to go back and check its
Was it
status.
was it the Warrior American Ale? Because we were talking about American things,
Mm,
or was it maybe
mm,
the Blueberry Lager?
maybe blueberry lager. It was
It
right
was.
when we were talking. It was
It,
when we were talking about what which we never went back and validated, by the way, but what the audience would be watching this year's Super Bowl based on all of the BS with Taylor.
oh yeah, yeah. I never
We
looked
talked,
it up really.
but either it was in that same episode. But we've even talked about it before because
Yeah.
remember I did a spill about how there was a pizza that I absolutely loved in college, and when we went back, and I wasn't gonna name them, and when I went back, it was fucking terrible. So,
Yeah.
anyways, that being said, you guys, homework for this week is find out when we brought this up amongst the past. At least it's been within the past 10 episodes.
Oh, yeah, it was. Well, we've brought it up within the last 10. Yeah, I don't remember the first time, but I'm pretty sure this was one of the first episodes coming back from our break.
Okay. Also, nobody's turning in the homework. Okay,
Yeah. What the
and I
heck?
think we need to get around to that. So like, there was a lot of movies I've told you guys to watch. There's a lot of little tidbits I've told you to look up. You know, the legend lives on from the Chippewa on down to the big lake they call Gitchaguni. Like, there's things that you need to go and do your homework on. And one of them is telling us how many times we brought up this place needing to be vetted from our childhood. Um, how many times we've mentioned that in the past 10 episodes, whether it was the Super Bowl because it is a hot wing, and we're going to get
Yeah.
into it in a minute, or if it was when we were talking trash about the pizza place that we loved in college. Either
Yeah.
way, that's your homework. Find out when we brought it up. But nonetheless, so what did we do?
We went and tested it out. We went and had them to see if they were as good as we remember. Um,
Yeah.
which I was very pumped up to do. Yeah, I don't think a lot of people truly understand how incredible that feeling is. Like even if it would have been disappointing, just going back and like trying to relive that moment. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Um, but whew, they held up.
They fucking delivered, man.
They really
I
did.
I I was nervous only because there was a couple of scenarios that were creating a little bit of anxiety of the experience. One is they were freaking slammed, okay, which is a good thing. I think had we shown up and then been completely empty on a Saturday, I would have been like, these are gonna suck because the
Yeah.
clientele's not keeping them honest. You know what I mean?
And not only was it slam, but the weather was not great.
No,
The
no,
weather
no.
was not great, and this is a bar on Lake Conroe.
Yes.
So it's a bar on a lake it wasn't rain like pouring down rain or anything, but it was just a really gloomy day, and it was packed. I mean, there was people standing up, not at tables because there was so many people there.
And also too, it wasn't even like technically lunchtime. It was after. It was like
Yeah,
that
it was like
awkward
1:30.
1 to 3 o'clock window.
Yeah,
Yeah. Um, but yeah, so I think the fact that they stay so busy, I mean, that I think that's what has kept them relevant and it's kept them honest in how they put things together. But anyways,
yeah,
nonetheless, so did we do a call out on that one? Yeah, it's Papa's on the Lake. All right. So we go
yeah.
there
Papa's on the
and
lake.
Papa's on the Lake, which I think is the only Papa's on the Lake location any longer. Um,
Hmm.
but we go there, we get the freaking hot wings, which by the way, genuinely we did validate. There's only like you just get hot wings. You don't get like
Yeah.
lemon pepper, you don't get mild, you don't get any of
No,
that. You
it's
just
just
fucking
Papa's
bone
hot
in
wings.
or boneless. That's it.
Which back in the day there was no boneless, so that
No,
is
they
new.
didn't.
It was only bone in. Obviously, I got boneless for reasons, and I'm sure they tasted even better on the bone. I didn't really even think to try one because I was already enjoying myself enough. But what I was going for mainly was the buffalo flavor.
Yes.
That's what I
And
was going mainly to try.
it literally back. I mean, it's changed a little bit with boneless, which I think again they've got to accommodate, which is great. But basically, it was like you either want hot wings or you don't want hot wings, and
Yes,
if you do want hot wings, you get either 6 or 12. That's it.
that's it.
That's
Yeah.
it. Okay. So obviously, we ordered a couple of baskets of 12. But anyways,
Oh yeah.
um, they were spot on. The other thing here's what really struck me. Okay, taste is taste, and it was right on par. It brought back the memories. But what really got me, and I think you had a very, based on some of the things that you said, you had a very similar experience. When they set that basket down, okay, and they set it down, and the initial fumes that come up off the
Mm,
basket, that did it. I
yeah.
knew from that moment, I was like, these are about to be the same. They're about to be the
Yeah,
same.
I mean, you. I
They,
looked at you whenever they set it down. I immediately looked down and just I took a big whiff, which was not a mistake. It was a mistake, but not a mistake. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because I took that massive whiff and I was like, oh yeah, and it burnt my nose, and I was like, yes. And I looked up at you and I went, oh buddy, it's
yes,
about to go down. That
it's
immediate,
about to
it's
go down.
that vinegar smell that just burns the inside of your nose when you're not even eating it. That's
Yes.
the flavor I've been searching for since I've had these, and I forgot that they were here. You know what I
It's
mean?
it's almost so overwhelming that if like it was in a cloth and somebody put the cloth over your face, you'd pass out.
Yeah, it's like chloroform, but I want it.
Yes, I agree. It
You know,
probably, very similar health rating, I'm sure.
probably, yeah, probably. Except one's delicious and one's not.
So, and they were, obviously I did get them fried crispy, extra crispy, which I think
Mhm.
like that's my standard for any wing. Like they have to
Yeah,
be that to even show up, right? To even submit. But But yeah, they were super crispy. They were vinegary. They were spicy enough. It not overwhelmed. Like I don't want anybody to think they were overwhelming. If you guys again
no,
follow up
J-
homework,
just enough to get the nose running a little bit,
yeah,
not hurt. You know, just enough to like need a sip of something after maybe a couple wings. You know what I mean?
that's the
Uh, I,
key. Like you want the taste every time, but
yeah,
I don't want to like stop and like have to catch my breath until I've
yeah,
put like 3 or 4 down. You know what I mean?
exactly. Then that's when you stop to get a couple sips of beer or
Yeah.
water or whatever you're drinking. You know. Other thing, they were sauced the perfect amount.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Not
They weren't too
swimming, but not
sloppy.
dry.
Yes, they weren't too sloppy. They weren't dry where I was begging for more. It was sauced perfectly. Oh man, everything about the experience was exactly what I wanted it to be. Um, and you don't get like fries with it, which is
Nope.
you get 12 or 6 wings. That's it. If you want anything else, you got to get it on the side as an extra order. Which any place that does it like that, I feel like is going to
You're
be good
confident
for the most
enough.
part. Yeah. Which B
They're just
Dubs
like,
does do that, but I think that's just because they got tired of giving fries away for free.
possibly, but they're just very, yeah, I could see that. But like, they're just they're like, take it or leave it. Like those that,
Mm-hmm.
so there's a couple things I want to say about this place. Another thing, I don't normally, which I know this is going to seem contrary to the whole concept of the podcast here, but I don't normally drink beer or alcohol when I eat. I just
Mm-hmm.
don't. It's not my thing. You know what I mean? Like if I'm either gonna do all or nothing, I'm either just
Yeah.
gonna drink or I'm just gonna eat or whatever, and I don't really share the two. Um, Even when it comes to like food and wine, and people are like, "Oh, pair this with that," I just never have been a drink with my meal kind of person. But I feel like at Papa's, you got like for the experience, you got to hit that. You got to hit those first couple wings. You get to like four, you're taking a breath. You're like, all right, it's starting to set in. I
Yeah.
want an ice cold beer to kind of do a little rinsing. And it's not going to help. The beer doesn't help. The
Oh
bubbles
no.
fucking hurt.
If
But
anything, it makes it worse, probably.
exactly. It's like drinking a hot Dr. Pepper after you just ate a Carolina Reaper. But it does. So all that being said, I did indulge in a beer and it just fulfilled the experience. But I will also say this based on the people that we shared a table with, random people that we shared a table with, because like I said, it was packed.
Yeah.
Um, th- a testament to the other things on the menu as well. Like muffalata was
Mm-hmm.
absolutely still slamming. I mean, and people like seek it out.
People
In fact,
people were recommending it to us.
yes, and in fact, they had gotten it because somebody had recommended it to them over the hot wings, which is the
Yeah.
only reason we were there. I mean, not only reason, but for the most part, right?
I mean, it
I
was
mean,
the only
realistically,
reason we went.
yeah, exactly.
It's
But
not the
dude,
only reason we would go, but it's the only reason we went this time.
yes.
Yeah.
And so they're just holding up. I think it's a diamond. I don't want to say diamond in the rough, but like I think people see it as it's only a bar.
I would
You
call
know
it a
what I mean?
diamond in the rough, especially if
Yeah,
it's the only Papa's on the Lake location now.
it is. But I guess here's the thing: people see it on the lake and they're like, "Oh, let's go get a beer. Let's go get a margarita. Let's go get
Mm.
drunk or whatever." You know what I mean? And then from the road, I think people are like, "Oh no, that's a lake thing. Like we'll go there and
Now
we'll have
that's
beers,
true.
shoot pool." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't think like people aren't expecting to walk in there. They're expecting to go in there and get something cheap, greasy, and generic because it's going to fill the void while they're drinking beer. But you're not. I would almost venture to say their beers are just beers. Like you can
Yeah.
get them anywhere. The
Yeah. In
food
fact,
is way above.
they don't have a lot of crazy beer options. All their
No.
beers really you're like generic, everyday beers. But the food, whew, they're doing something special over there with the food. That's for sure.
Yeah, our sister got a pizza and
Oh,
it was slamming.
it was
Like,
so
and
good.
that doesn't make like think about those things. You're like, oh, muffalana. If you're good at muffaladas, doesn't necessarily mean that you're good at hot wings. Okay,
Hmm.
if you're good at hot wings, doesn't necessarily mean you're good at muffaladas. If you're good at muffaladas, doesn't necessarily mean you're good at pizzas. But
Yeah.
they crushed it all, just right over the fence
Hmm.
with all of them.
And we got some like spicy chip
Yeah, the
appetizer
spicy
thing.
the house made chips were delicious.
They're delicious. Just everything about it was
Um,
so good. And there's other places over there on the lake that are also good to eat, but like I think it holds like Papa's on the Lake holds a special place in my heart regardless. Um but going back, everything that I tried, I was like it's an even better experience now that I'm grown up. You know what I
it's just
mean?
I agree. But
And not because I can have a beer, but because I can appreciate the food more now that I'm older.
that's it. Or appreciate that like we just sat for a while at the end. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
was great. It was
Yeah.
busy. Everybody's waiting in line. People are shooting pool. People are having conversations. It was midday. The weather wasn't all that great. It kind of got a little chilly at one point. They cut on the
They
heat. Like
turn the heaters on. They turn the heaters on a little too early, but
I agree. I agree. If there was
I get
anything
it.
that goes in the con column, they get 4.9 stars, but they're losing a tenth because those suckers were. I mean, we damn near melted a fan. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah, we
um,
did.
so it was good to see that they still held up, and we didn't lose that as a part of our childhood. Because I'm not gonna lie, when I told the story about um, the pizza place, it kind of erased a good chunk of my college experience. It didn't mean to, but it did. It just ripped it right out. It was like,
Because
you
you
don't
were like,
remember shit.
wow.
So I was like, was I that far off pace?
Yeah.
Um, but this solidified a lot of those memories as a kid, I think.
Yeah. No, I agree. It brought back a lot of the good times growing up, rolling up on the boat, going and getting hella dirty, playing some beach volleyball.
You
running
could,
around in that. They had that little like waterfall out there. Remember that?
yeah, that was basically for small toddlers to rinse off.
Yeah, well, I was a small toddler at that point, so
Yeah, that was
I was there.
dude.
But playing some pool also, running the table on some adults when I was like 8 years old, 7 years old. No big deal.
That would not. Yeah, I was also getting the table run on me. There's an innuendo there, I'm sure. But anyways, there's two things I would say. One, dude, getting parking at that bitch on the water side. You know what I'm saying?
Getting like with your boat.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
getting parking there was always a chore.
Oh
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
There was a
Unless
lot
you
of
got the really
times there was a lot of times we had to roll up and like circle around and wait for someone to leave. I remember that because we would, roll in past the buoys and just do circles waiting for someone to leave and then pull in.
yeah, and it's crazy because I think I even made the comment when we were leaving. The shoreline parking lot is pretty big and it was slammed. Like there were trucks parking up in the grass. Like
Mm-hmm.
and it gets even I would say equally as bad during peak hours. Obviously this weekend because it was chilly it wasn't so bad, but during peak summer the boat side is like that. Like
Yeah.
you're literally waiting, or you'll have people, which you're not supposed to do, but you'll have people docked and then they'll
People
tie a
docked
couple of
onto
boats to the
them.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. That people, I mean, typically people only do that if they're there in like a party, but yeah,
Yeah,
you're still not
obviously.
supposed to do it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, no, that's true. There was one time where we had to go we pull I remember this so vividly now. This is crazy that it just came back like that. But we pulled in, we got past the buoy or whatever and we were doing those circles and my dad was like, "Hey, jump off and go get us in line for a table."
Yeah.
And so I jumped off in my life jacket and swam up and climbed up the dock and went and
Oh,
went and got us, waiting in line for a table and then they were able to wait and get a spot and I was already in line waiting.
nice.
I mean, so it gets like that.
I thought he meant like he nose dipped you, like pulled up to the dock and you jumped off the nose right onto the dock. But no, he just threw you off the side and was like,
No,
swim your ass over here.
it was close to the dock, but he didn't get me
Yeah,
like
that's
right up in there. No.
um, but also too, one thing, because I did officially, I mean, I think I mentioned it a little bit, but I officially confirmed, I think it was my first hot wing. Now I've had some other firsts, other places that aren't my favorite, but it was my first hot wing experience, and yeah, it's like I relived it again. We don't get the opportunity to do that very often, relive that
No,
first
you don't.
experience, and I did.
It brings you back a lot. I think there's a good chance it was mine too, but it was never my first I know for a fact that it wasn't like my first full order for myself of hot wings. I think I like tried one of my dad's. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? My first full order of my own hot wings was Wingstop. I know for a fact. Um, but I think that the first hot wing I ever did try was Papa's on the Lake. It was just I just bummed one, you know, and it burned my mouth like crazy because I was a child, and
yeah.
I wasn't grown enough yet.
I'm pretty sure my experience was, hey, not that I was like led astray or coaxed, but it was like, hey, do you want some chicken? I was like, yeah, I would love some chicken. And they were like, cool, you want some hot wings? And I was like, what is that? And they were like, well, that's what we ordered. And so I just bellied up to a 12-piece buffalo and loved it. Like it worked out, obviously,
Loved every second of it.
but I was hooked ever since. On that note, just because it happened today, which obviously is a follow up to the experience we just shared. But dude, you got like low key, and I'm not trying to create a joke, but like low key, you got to watch out for Popeyes, dude, because they get into some fucking crazy games where they compete. Like everybody in this, I'm gonna set the stage with this. When you say chicken sandwich, everybody thinks what?
Popeyes,
No. Now
Chick-fil-A, Chick-fil-A.
exactly, right?
Yeah.
So everybody thinks Chick-fil-A. And like what was it now? I mean, it was like pandemic time, wasn't it? When was this? Or before pandemic maybe?
You know what? I think it was right before I think it was 2019, the chicken
I think
wars, right?
so. Yeah, dude, like and honestly it was Popeyes just putting their head where we thought it didn't belong, but we
Yeah.
were wrong. You know, everybody was like, "Oh, Chick-fil-A." And obviously Chick-fil-A is a great chicken sandwich, great company, whatever, right? But like
Yeah.
they had a fucking monopoly on the market. Like people were brainwashed that that's the only chicken sandwich. And for those of us that love the windy spicy chicken, like we were in our own little cult,
Mm-hmm.
somewhere. If you really know, like if you're OG, you're OG kind of thing.
Yeah.
But when Popeyes came in, we were like, what? Popeyes is about to get raked over the coals. And they did not. They
No.
fought hard and it was slamming. The only drawback was the fact that they sold them too quick.
Yeah.
That was their only problem. Is like they started going out of stock and people were like, fuck, I'm not. Because I remember you and I, like we drove to a couple different ones and they were like out. And we were like, shit, we have to
Yeah.
get something else. But yeah, so anyways, I say all that to say this. When you think Popeyes, it would be like a lightweight, um, you know, person who's training on their own on the weekends because they're also an accountant. I'm not talking trash to any accountants, but like they do a little bit of cardio boxing on the weekends, and then all of a sudden they step in the ring with Mike Tyson in his prime. Like they're gonna get fucking killed, right?
Right.
That's just the way that works.
Yeah.
That's how I thought it was gonna be with Popeyes and the chicken sandwich. But they came to play. Like they went at least
It,
9 rounds
it
and
was the
knocked him
rookie
down a couple times.
sensation. It was the rookie
Exactly.
sensation that made some noise.
But I build that foundation to say this. Today, um, we had a little circumstance where I had to run out and get chicken for dinner because we were just planning. And I always forget about Popeyes. Like that's the thing, it's not top of mind. And anyways, I went over there and as I'm pulling through, I'm gonna grab nuggets for the kids or whatever and generic, red beans and rice, obviously, but just regular chicken stuff.
Well, clearly, red beans and
Clearly.
rice.
But they got wings over there now. And I was
I've
like,
seen that. I have not
dude,
tried them yet, but I've seen that.
okay, so I'm gonna tell you, and they got me with they got me with the sell, right? I don't know, a 6 piece is like $9 or something. No. Yeah, 6 piece is like $9. And I was like, holy shit. But if you already order something, you can add a 6 piece and it's like $5.99. I'm like, well, fuck, I'm stealing
Okay.
money like that, Anyway, so
Oh man, I'm robbing these guys. What are
I
they
mean,
doing?
I'm not doing myself justice, obviously. So I didn't even look at the options because obviously there's a bunch of different options, but I was just like, give me your hot wing 6 piece, add it on. Right?
Yeah.
Didn't think anything about it. And I thought they were gonna be, I don't know where you're at on this. We talk about hot wings way too much. I think hot wings is in a description of at least 15 episodes, but buckle up because we're already fucking here. So I think a lot, like you say you like the Pizza Hut. Like I don't do Pizza Hut wings. I don't do any of that because they're
Mm,
just not my thing.
I don't. I think I've only had the Pizza Hut wings like once. They're not. I don't think they're horrible, but they're not my favorite. You know what I mean?
Okay. I just don't ever feel like they're even remotely like close to what I like. And I know that we like similar because we like Papa's. But anyways, long story short, I was not expecting these to even really be edible, but I was like, dude, if I eat two of them, like fucking that's worth the $5 or whatever, right? In hot wing talk, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
I get back to the house, we had to do some stuff, and then we sat down and ate. Um, Bruh, they were greasy. And I feel like that could have been a location thing. They were hustling because our chicken was kind of greasy because they were also getting just
Slammed.
slammed. Okay.
Yeah.
But I will tell you this confidently on everything that's here, the wood, whatever. If they wouldn't have been so greasy, they compete in the ring with Hooters, like because they're a
Oh
breaded wing,
wow.
bro.
Yeah. I did
And
know
it's
that.
it's breaded and dude, Popeye's shit's crispy. Let's be honest. Their
Yeah.
shit's
It
crispy,
is.
right?
It
That's why
is.
their chicken sandwich did so good.
Yep.
So they're super crispy. They're small, which I like.
Okay. Yes.
They're small. Um, they're super crispy, and the coating on them is a thick coating that adheres to the breading.
Okay.
Okay. So they got all those things going for them. Again, mine were a little greasy. They could have done a little basket toss before they, dumped them and tossed them.
Yeah.
But if they weren't as greasy, I would have put them up against Hooters, hands
Wow.
down. Now, again, I don't know which one I got because I wasn't paying attention. I was just like, hey, give me the 5 hot wings, and I didn't. That was the whole
Oh, they probably
conversation.
just gave you buffalo.
Probably, but I mean, like there might have been a hotter version, like a 3 mile. Like if they had a ghost or something, that would probably be 3 Mile Island or habanero or whatever, because that's the ones I like from
Yeah.
Hooters. I'm telling you, we almost need to do it side by side, takeout style. Just get six of the Hooters, 3 Mile Island, and six of the Ghost or whatever they. I don't know what they even have, or just regular OG. I don't know. I'm just saying, it was damn good for a. I wasn't. I didn't think Popeyes was gonna come out with those punches. Is all I'm saying.
Well, I mean, here's the thing about Popeyes is like you said, they're really slept on, and I myself kind of they used
I
to be
just
slept on,
forget.
right? After the chicken sandwich stuff, a lot of people were like, "Oh
Yeah.
crap, Popeyes is legit," right? But I feel like up until that point, they were always slept on, right? Because like,
Hmm.
bro, you can go there and get some freaking chicken and shrimps. You know what I mean? Some fried chicken, some fried shrimps. You can. Their tenders to me were always my favorite fast food tenders. The spicy, that's
Oh
next
yeah,
level. No
dude.
one else is doing that.
No, and not, oh, and here's the thing. Yeah, they got a little bit of spice to them, but it's the flavor. Like nobody's
Yeah.
hitting that flavor.
Nobody's getting that. Plus the
Yeah.
crunch, everything about it. So I've seen the commercial for their hot wings, but sadly I haven't been able to try them because the Popeyes by me is closed down right now for
Nice.
renovations. So we don't ever really get it because it's like, we have to get it from one town over and it's not hot by the time we get home,
Yeah, no, yeah, that's something like you gotta, get up on your vaccinations and eat in the dining room there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
I need to get my hepatitis shot and just get in there real quick.
Yeah, just chance it, dude. Fuck it. You're gonna do a
Give
lot
me
of. You're gonna
I'm gonna
slide right into your
I'm
chair and slide right out because of all the grease.
just gonna take me a penicillin in there with me,
Yeah, bro.
take a
And
couple
an
bites and
EpiPen.
shoot up. take
It's
take me a
fucking EpiPen
B12,
shake shit.
take me a
Yeah.
B12 in the bathroom.
Get a good night's sleep before, so your immune system's top notch. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot you got to do if you're eating in the lobby over there. But yeah,
Yeah. Hey, but it's worth it, dude. That chicken's worth it for real. Popeyes ain't
oh,
messing
dude,
around. And now I would love to listen. If we can change this beer podcast into a wings podcast whenever we
fuck, dude.
want. Because
They're close. They're close, and I know they go hand in hand. Like, obviously, I like beer, but I love hot wings. I mean, I just don't know how many hot wings are out there. There's not as many hot wings as there are apples. One more piece of homework: go back and look up how many there are. But there's a bunch.
yeah, there's a bunch. I'd be down to do this Hooters Popeyes comparison someday though. We should check that out.
Dude, we can do it off pod and then bring it back to the pod fam.
And then we can talk about wings again on the
Yeah,
podcast. That's what we like
the
to
pot.
do.
We're gonna start calling it the podulation because it's not the population, but it's the population of the pod followers. The
The,
podulation.
the podulation. Hmm.
We listen. No one fret. We will go and do the research and bring it to you, so you don't have to do it for yourselves. We do it week after week with good and bad beverages. I'm not alluding to anything. I'm just saying.
Yeah. We can do this for you too. No problem. All right. Well, we have gotten to the point where we got to do the WWYBDs here.
Yep.
I'm gonna let you go first, dude.
Okay, so mine's pretty simple. I would drink this if I was dieting in the summer. That's it.
It is only
That's
100
it.
calories.
Yep, and it's got the flavor of something with like 30. So I don't know. I don't know if I would do it again. But yeah, I just it's hard to see myself. It's refreshing enough, I guess. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Maybe if I was like at a I think this would actually be a good beer to drink if you were eating something hot, maybe crawfish or something like that. But I want a little fuller flavored beer if I'm eating crawfish. Yeah, for me, it's gonna be you know what it is? It's gonna be if I this is gonna be very guilty, but like if I'm meeting the boys somewhere real quick, or I'm going to meet a friend or something, and I tell my wife like, "Listen, I'm going over there. I'm saying hi. I'm not even gonna have a beer. These are the two beers that I'm gonna drink while I'm there." You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Because
That's
there's
what
gonna
they
be no
are.
difference.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I can get that. I think for me, it's definitely a hot, like a hot weather beer. If I'm
Hmm.
drinking it, this is a situation where I'm kind of out of other stuff. You know,
Yeah.
I'm like at a gathering. For instance, I think I've mentioned before on here. We go over to our neighbors a lot for a lot of things, especially during the summer. I could picture myself being over there and it being like 100 degrees. I'm sitting in front of the portacool, trying not to die, and I'm drinking one of these because I got one left. You know what I mean? That's kind of what it's like. but yeah, uh, I don't really see it in any other situation than that. We can get into the ratings now, though. I can go first for this since you did the
Send it.
WWYBD. For entry, I have a 2. Aftertaste, I have a 2. I mean, it's a light lager. Listen, it's not. I'm not gonna sit here and say that it's horrible, but it doesn't give me what I want exactly from a light beer. Um, Body, I also have a 2. I think it's I think it's subpar. You know, I think it could be a little bit better. Color, I have a 3. Um, kind of, it's lighter. It could be a little bit lower in that score, but it's lighter than it should be. But it's also a light beer, man. It's gonna be light. You know what I mean? Bitterness, I do have a 5. I think it's on the bitterness for me. I pretty much when I taste this, get I get Bud Light for the most part. You know, I don't get Miller Lite, but I get Bud Light. Acidity, I have a 4. It's pretty much right there. It's pretty much like on par for me acidity wise. And then fizz, I have a 3. It made me burp quite a bit, but I didn't really enjoy any of them. And
They were empty.
they're very empty. And I also feel like when I say quite a bit, they almost made me burp too much. You know, like it.
Oh well, shit. What? Which one is it? No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
No, but I mean, it. You know, there's like a fine line between like I want to have some good burps and then I don't want too many. You know what I mean?
Well, I think listen, everybody, fizz isn't just about the quantity of burps; it's about the quality,
The
and there has to be
quality.
a balance.
Yeah, and they're just kind of empty. They just feel like foam. You know what I mean? It's
Mhm.
like the foam's trying to battle its way up. So I do have a score of a 21 here for this. Oh,
Wow. So we started off very similar, and then we divulged very quickly. Diverged. So entry, I have it at 2. I think it's below. 3 is your standard. 3 is like what we were expecting.
yeah,
Starts off at a 2. It let me down a little bit early on, and it stayed at a 2 for aftertaste. So that's something to be said, I guess. It didn't get any
yeah,
worse, but it didn't get any better.
yeah,
Um, Body, I have it at 2. It was just very empty in the mouthfeel, empty and everything. I know it's a light, but I think you know what I think my next category is really where we start to diverge. Uh, when we think of like they have over engineered lights, like Miller had what was their saying way back in the 70s? Um, all you want in a light beer and less, or whatever. All you want in a yeah. It was like everything you want in a light beer and less, or everything you want in a light beer and more. I don't remember
yeah,
exactly what it was, but um, I think we have so many readily available light beers that are full flavored because people fussed about original light beers. This one doesn't have a seat at the table. You know what I'm saying? It's too
yeah.
light for me. But anyways, color I have a 1, and here's why.
Mm,
Because when I think of if you can get a Miller Lite or you can get some of the other standard light beers to have that rich golden, urine sample color to them, why can't, this one's way
yeah.
off from that. This one, like I said, it's a watered down. Bitterness, again, we strayed here. I have a 1. I didn't get anything.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah. I there was so much more I think I could have gotten bitterness that just wasn't there. Now I got a little bit more acidity, so it's at a 2. Um, and then fizz, I have it a 4, and here's why: they were the right amount. I liked the head. I liked the when I would catch it in my mouth, and the ones that I had were okay. But I also did tell you guys that I just slammed some fucking hot wings earlier, so like there's some
That's true.
residual flavors that are coming through and part of that experience.
That is
But
true.
that only puts the native light at a 14 for me.
Ooh,
It's
yeah.
it's not this is going to be very contradictive. It's not a fridge sitter
No, 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 no.
because it's easy drinkable.
Yeah, no. If
It's
I
not
had them, I
painful to
would
drink.
drink them.
Yeah, it's like I'll get a seltzer during the day or whatever because I want to be refreshed. This will fill the
Yeah,
void. It's the same
yeah.
difference, right? Um, but also, I don't think I would. purchase it again. It's not that I wouldn't recommend it. I'll be like, listen, if you want something super light, let's say you want to drink a 6-pack of something, but you also have to, be in court or something.
Yeah.
Do this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's not that I wouldn't recommend it. I would just say, here's my opinion of it. But if you want something that's light and it's easy drinkable, and go ahead. But like, I
Yeah.
wouldn't pick it. I would pick other light beers.
Going on what you said earlier too, it's kind of like, because the light beer market it's just so full of other things, right? It would be like, this is like, no, I don't hate it per se, but like, there's other things I would rather have.
100%.
You know what I mean? I'd just rather do a Miller Lite because Miller Lite's my favorite generic light beer, And this doesn't give me enough craftiness, flavor, like crafty flavor, to make me be like, oh, well, it's a little different. You know what I mean? Like, it gives me a little bit of a craft flavor. So that's kind of my thoughts on it.
You only go to a Subway when Jersey Mike's is closed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at with that.
Like, closed down for good. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, they move locations and the next one's 20 miles over and you only have 15 miles worth of gas.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you chance it.
Otherwise, you would get there and then be stranded. That's okay.
Yeah. Worth it. But yeah, that's where I'm at on that.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely not a fridge sitter. Probably wouldn't buy it again myself, but we're gonna have to get some other independents on here and give them a good chance, because I can guarantee you their other stuff is delicious. Some of it, at least. All right, we've gotten to the point in the podcast where I'm going to tell you to go follow us on social media on X and TikTok at Off the Tap Pod, and on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Off the Tap Podcast.
Don't let heartburn hinder your heart's love for heated desire.